Only about 5% of PhD holders are able to become professors directly out of their PhD programs. And therefore, if you are going to interview for a campus visit to become professor, do not take it lightly. It is very important to do your best. If you have received an invitation to visit the campus, present your research and interact with the faculty there, congratulations, you're almost there. You have already left behind a lot of competition. Now you need to do your best to get that job. I have been on the job market twice myself, and I have seen dozens of job market candidates. When I was a PhD student, I saw many people interviewing at my university, and as a faculty member, I saw many candidates interviewing for a job at my own universities. Therefore, I think I have enough knowledge and experience to tell you the things that people do right and things that people get wrong. I will give you 12 tips to perform well on your campus visit. And let me assure you of one thing. All these 12 tips are directly coming from my own experience and knowledge. Some of these tips I received as a job market candidate and some others I figured out on my own. And here they are. This is Chaitanya Sambhara, faculty at the College of Business, University of Texas, Arlington. Tip number 1 I have for you is to dress well even on the flight. Sometimes what happens is that once you land at the airport, you are supposed to go to your hotel, freshen up, and then they take you out for dinner. But as it happens many times, the flights get delayed, and then it would take even longer for you to reach the hotel and then go for dinner. So sometimes what faculty members do is that they pick you up from the airport itself. Now, if you're not dressed well in the flight itself, then it would be embarrassing to be dressed badly when you go and meet other faculty members for an interview over the dinner. And note that if not fully business formal, at least dress up in business casual. I would strongly suggest that you wear dress pants and dress shirt along with a blazer at minimum. The second tip I have for you is that during your dinner, do not show the top of your head, show your face. What I mean by that is that while you're at dinner, you're still interviewing. You're supposed to look at the person and not at the food. Food should be your second priority and fully participate in a proper conversation. Now, let's say conversation is about a certain topic and you have a great point to make. But before you get that opportunity to make your point, the conversation changes to a different topic. Go with the flow. Do not try to bring back your amazing point to that conversation because that topic has already ended. Believe me, nobody is going to give you a medal for making a great point on a topic that has already finished. Third tip I have for you is that when you travel for your campus visits, carry some extra food and medications with you. And if needed, during that dinner time, you can also order a takeaway or get a box if you have leftovers. In 2014-2015, I went for a campus visit at a very good university in Virginia. What happened is that they took me to a tapas bar. Now, if you know what tapas bar is, that they give you a variety of food but in very small portions. So now that food was not enough to fill me up. I'm a big guy, okay? But thankfully, I had that dinner and then I had quite a few cereal bars so that I could eat those cereal bars when I got back to my hotel and I was able to sleep. And during another campus interview, I had a very bad problem of acid reflux. What happened is that I was not even able to sleep well that night. Thankfully, I had some medication which helped me catch up some sleep, but still, I wish I had carried more medication and more food. Fourth tip I have for you is to mind your language, control your tongue. The reason I mention this is that a personality like me, I like to crack jokes with people, okay? And in 2012, like 2 years before I was in the job market, I was at a conference and two very senior faculty members were joking among themselves. And I joined the conversation and they started joking with me. And then guess what I did? I started joking with them as well. Now, while this was happening, another faculty member who was a professor at my own university saw what was happening. And he pulled me on the side. He said, these are very big short guys. You are not at the same level. You are not their close friend. They have been friends for 20, 30 years. You are just meeting them for the first time. You are not a member of their group. So do not try to be as funny as they are. Just listen to them and enjoy the conversation. And then when I was in the job market, he came back to me and told me that while you're interviewing, control your jokes. Not all jokes land. You should be fully formal and professional. Fifth tip I have for you is to practice your job talk several times. My golden number is that you should practice your entire job talk in one smooth flow at least 6 times. Now I understand that it is very daunting and very laborious work, but you have to do it. Even though you may think that you know your slides very well because you made them, but knowing your slides and presenting them effectively are two different things. I would even say that if possible, if your doctor advisor is friendly, present the entire job talk to that person at least once or maybe even twice. Okay, if your doctor advisor is not available, present it to your fellow PhD students. In my case, when I was in the job market for the second time, I could not practice it with anyone. So I put a camera in front of me and I practiced the whole job talk at least 5 to 6 times. Because only when you are standing and presenting a slide, you realize where you fumble. Only with enough practice, you will be able to deliver your message effectively. Now, let me tell you about one incident. When I was in the job market for the first time, I was practicing my job talk with my doctoral advisor. What happened then is that there was one slide on which he was not happy with the way I was making my case. That slide was about identifying research gaps in the current research that I'm trying to fill with my own research, right? And he asked me to present that slide several times, and each time he was not very satisfied with the kind of job I was doing. So we both got frustrated. And then I asked him, Dr. Rai, why don't you stand and present? Now he stood in front of me and I was in the audience, and he was presenting that slide which was my research back to me. And what I did is that I recorded his entire talk on that one slide. And then I understood how to present that slide effectively. And what happened is that I listened to that tape again and again, to an extent that I even ended up memorizing the whole slide exactly the way he presented it to me. And I practiced it so many times that I literally copied him. When his voice would raise, my voice would raise. When his voice would go down, my voice was going down. And when I was actually presenting that slide on my campus interview, I was performing. It was a piece of acting because all the dialogues were known and how to deliver those dialogues were practiced. And guess what? I was able to nail that single slide because that was a very important slide. Therefore, practice, practice, and practice your slides. My sixth tip is that do not just present your research paper. You are actually presenting yourself. They are not hiring your paper, they are hiring you. And that paper and your work is a part of you. Therefore, when you are about to start your job talk, when you are about to present your research paper, start with a talk with a note of thanks to all the people who gave you the opportunity to come here and present your work. After you're done thanking them, give a brief introduction. Spend about 5 minutes talking about you and your background and why you're interested in this job. You can talk about your educational background, you can talk about your PhD program, you can even talk about the kind of teaching you have done, and if you have any achievements like teaching awards or something. You should discuss all these things in the first 5 minutes. Now, don't spend too much time on it, but at least you should give them an idea of who you are and why you could be a good candidate. Once you are done talking about your own background, talk about your entire research. Give them an overarching view of your dissertation, and if you're doing some other work as well, present it all in a snapshot. You can briefly discuss every single paper you have been working on, what kind of research questions you're asking, and how these papers are interconnected with each other, and how these papers align with your research background and your research interest for future. Once you are done giving an overarching view of your research profile, then dive into your current paper that you are going to present. You should briefly mention why you are choosing to present this particular work. Tell your audience why you think this study is important and why it interests you. Remember, if you are not interested in your own research and if you are not passionate about your own research, the audience will not be interested in it either. So it is very important to set the stage nicely. Now, an important point I have from my perspective is that right from the beginning and until you are about to begin your research talk, the duration should not be more than 10 minutes. Okay, do not talk about yourself and your background for 15-20 minutes. That's too much. You need to have enough time to complete your presentation, and while you're presenting, a lot of questions will be asked. You should have enough time for all of that. Tip number 7 is that you should know the weaknesses of your research. No research is perfect. Every research has room for improvement. Now, you should not be caught off guard. You should not present a paper if there is a possibility that that paper might have fatal flaws. You should discuss your paper with your doctoral advisor and other senior members to make sure that your constructs are good, your measures are good, your data analysis is credible, and the story you're telling is important and interesting. And I would even recommend that when you start presenting your work, ask the audience to criticize you so that once they make their comments, you can improve your own work. Once you mention that, the audience is likely to give you constructive feedback in improving that work. So you should really know what weaknesses are there in your study, and you should know how to address them. And when you start receiving suggestions and criticism of your work during your presentation, do not be too defensive. And definitely do not get into a confrontation. You can politely acknowledge the criticism. And more importantly, you can acknowledge the limitations of your work. Tip number 8 I have for you is that during your entire campus visit, keep a small bottle of water with you. And it is very important to keep a bottle of water while you are presenting. Take water breaks. Those water breaks should be brief, like 2, 3, 4 seconds. Do not take long water breaks while you are presenting. And related to that, don't depend on cloud for your presentation. Keep your slides on a flash drive so that you can plug that flash drive and start presenting your research without any issues. Tip number 9. During your job talk, listen to the questions and comments very carefully. In fact, I have seen a couple of cases where the question that was being asked and the answer that was given were completely unrelated. And when that happens, the candidate makes a fool of themselves. So listen to me. Whatever comment you're getting and whatever questions that are being asked, listen to those questions very carefully. Process that question properly. Think about what answer you're going to give and only then start your answer. Tip number 10 I have for you is that while you're on your campus visit, of course, your job talk is the most important component, but beyond that, you'll be interacting with many faculty members through the day. In most cases, what happens is that the candidate goes and meets faculty members one-on-one, sometimes one or two faculty members at the same time for about 30 minutes. And then you have these meetings scheduled through the day. You will end up having multiple one-on-one meetings with faculty members. And because of that, this on-campus visit can be really exhausting. So one tip that I got from others, and I would recommend for you as well, is that each time you finish one meeting and you're about to start another meeting, ask for a restroom break. Go to the bathroom, relax, unwind, spend 2 to 5 minutes, and then calm yourself down, and then go for the next session. You need to be as relaxed and as natural as possible. Nobody is going to stop you from taking those bathroom breaks. But those bathroom breaks should also be quite brief. Do not take very long breaks, then you are actually losing time and the opportunity to interact with other faculty members. Tip number 11, a very important tip, is that once you're done with your campus visit, once you are back home, write a thank you note to every single person you had met. Mention something unique for each faculty member, something unique that they said during your job talk or something unique that they mentioned during your one-on-one meetings. Your thank you note should not come across as though you are using a standard note for every single faculty member. And in the end of your email, express your interest in joining them. And an important point I have for you is that just be nice. Thank even the administrative assistant who help you during your campus visit, because they are the ones who are booking your flights, arranging your hotels and all those things. So it's always nice to write them a note as well. The 12th and the final tip I have for you is that if you end up getting an offer from them, well, congratulations. Now what usually happens is that you get a verbal offer. They call you and discuss with you the nature of the offer that they are going to give you. Write it down and do not make any promise during that phone call. Just process what they are saying. Ask them for all the details of the offer, write them down, and request some time to reflect upon that offer. Then discuss the offer that you are getting with your advisor and other senior faculty members. And then try and leave room for negotiation. You may not even want to accept that offer. It happened with me. The very first job offer I got was from a university in the Bay Area. And I ended up not taking that offer even though I had no other job offer in hand at the time. I did so because I did not really like the offer that they were making. So the point I'm trying to make here is to control your emotions, do not get carried away, and process that offer carefully. If it is an excellent offer, even then, do not just jump on it. Okay? Write them an email later and then accept the offer if you want to. I hope you find these tips helpful. I wish you all the best. Remember, becoming a faculty member is a great honor and a great opportunity to serve people. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind and God bless America.